Hello there, I'm Plagueno and I like screwing around with the technical aspects of Digimon Linkz. I have extracted images, profiles, textures and of course models for several years by now, and in fact most HD renders of Linkz models you find on the web are probably mine. Anyway, the one thing I didn't do very much was actually play the game. As it turns out, nice models aside, Linkz is a rather obnoxious free-to-play grindfest, and the last time I tried to play it seriously it had me quitting in frustration within days. Yet, here we are, in-game, and just within a few hours of gameplay I was able to obtain quite a nice team of Digimon. We have, for example, a very prominent volcanic Dramon here, and here we have a Metal Garurumon X, who is very happy to see me. And somewhere else around here on the map, we have a Wargreymon X antibody as well, who is also very happy to see me. Now, this is the part where everyone who plays the game, and probably everyone else as well, has noticed that something is a bit screwed up here. None of the Digimon that you see here are actually obtainable, and some of the animations are also a bit screwed up. If we go into the Digimon team menu, then the secret is revealed. All of the abnormal monsters are actually normal child level Digimon, and their stats reflect that fact as well. In other words, I'm not actually cheating. This is a purely visual modification that in no way affects the actual mechanics of the game or results in any gameplay advantage. Model and texture mods are commonplace in PC gaming, but with mobile games like Linkz things are a bit different. The game only saves files on the phone temporarily and always checks for corrupted files whenever it starts, so messing with the cache won't get you any results. But before I go into detail about how my method actually works, let's demonstrate the reach of the mod in an actual fight. I'm not actually that far in the game, so let's just try the second area. Alright, let's get ready to fight Elecmon. That looks very fancy for an early game area, doesn't it? And now we'll see the modifications in action. As you can see, the animation are a bit bugged. In fact, Wargreymon and Metal Garurumon are actually using the particle effects and camera movements for their non-X counterparts, because those models do not have those files yet. Now it's time to fight the boss, who is not actually Elecmon anymore, and this will give us a chance to see some properly replaced attacks. But first let's get rid of Toyagumon. As you can see, normal attack animation is working fine. And now, it's time for one of the big awesome moments of this video. A very perfectly replaced volcanic Dramon attack that misses completely. Metal Garurumon X also doesn't look too shabby either. Let's try a more generic fire attack this turn. I'm not exactly sure if that animation is final yet. Oh, here it is. That was not very effective. Now let's show you something a bit more funny. As you can see, Volcanic Dramon doesn't have a proper animation for positive status effects, so instead he places damage animation. And that's the fight over! We won! So after this little intro demonstration comes the part that's a bit more technical. If you don't care about that and just want to see more unobtainable models and their animations, you can click the timestamp in the description below. First off, this is not a guide. Setting some of the following stuff up requires general knowledge of web servers and networking, and I'm not going to go into detail about all of it in this video. Anyway, now here we are outside of the game, looking at the giant text file that is the key to replacing Digimon Linkz models. It's not looking very informative right now, but this is the characters Go file that the game looks at when it wants to know which file to download for which Digimon. And basically, half of the work in replacing a model is modifying certain values in this very file. Now, of course you ask, This file is on the Digimon Linkz server. How do you modify it? And the answer to that question is, of course, you download it to your computer. Then the question becomes, if the file is on your computer, how do you get the game to access it? And the answer should be obvious to web developers, using a hosts file. But not the hosts file on a Windows system, but the hosts file on an Android system. This method is advantageous because this way I can still access the normal files on the real server from my PC, while all traffic from the phone, or the emulator in this case, will be redirected to my local server. So let's have a look at that. The Android hosts file is in the root folder, and yes, you will need to have a rooted phone in order to edit it, in the etc subdirectory right here. Basically, the hosts file is responsible for redirecting outgoing requests to the hosts of your choosing. And as you can see here, the Digimon Linkz resource server is being redirected to the local IP address of my PC. There, I have a local server running that contains a mirror of the Linkz resource server with the exact same file names and directory structure. But of course, being on my PC, I have control over it. So basically, we can change this address to localhost. And now this is my file. As you can see, the file has been reformatted to be a bit more readable. And fortunately, the game still accepts it because it does not care about whitespace. Anyway, this single file isn't the only thing that I have on the server. As you can see here, I pretty much have all other text files on the server, as well as all the Unity 3D files that the game uses to store its assets. Like 95% of those I will probably never mess with, but they all need to be here since I am rerouting every request to the server, so the game needs to find every file that would be on the normal server. These redirections, however, are not the same as running an actual private server for the game itself. Let me explain why. Digimon Linkz is actually running more than one server. One of them is the one I already mentioned, the one that contains all the assets and files. This other one is the script server, where all the actual game logic, all the gameplay, stats and account management runs on. And that's why here, everything is encrypted and secured, and so I can't modify anything. But since the assets server only has normal files and folders, and is pretty much independent of the other one, I can mess with things on this side as much as I want, without having any impact on the data sent to the script server. So while I'm testing out all those new fancy models and moves, from Bandai's perspective, I'm just a very boring person who likes to play the first few stages over and over again without actually getting anywhere. Time to go over the actual replacement procedure for files. The first thing we have to do is modify our locally saved characters Go file. And let's say we want to replace Agumon with Wargreymon. First we need to figure out which Digimon is in which file, which we can do via those model IDs. Now normally, in order to figure that out, you have to extract the files and see what's in there, but I'm going to skip this part because I already know that Agumon is number 17, as we can see here, while Wargreymon is number 174. Now, the most important parts here are the CRC checksum and the size. Every time the game requests a file from the server, it will check those two properties, and if they don't match up with the file it receives, it won't accept it. So we need to copy the CRC and size from Wargreymon and then paste it to Agumon. I'm not going to do that here because I'm actually using another method to replace the files right now. But the manual method would be to go into the characters folder and find the Unity 3D files for both of these characters, which in the case of Agumon and Wargreymon are characters 82 and characters 86 respectively. And now we will do the replacement, copy Agumon, delete the original, then copy Wargreymon and rename characters 86 to characters 82. And thus the replacement is complete. The next time we start the game, Agumon will be WarGreymon, but it is still important to keep the copy of the original Agumon file, characters 82 Go, so we can easily switch it back, in case I want to revert the changes or there is some kind of update to the game. And that is basically all there is to it. To summarize, rehosting the files on a local server, changing the property list for the files, and then redirecting the game's requests to the modified assets. However, manually modifying all those individual files that I might want to replace is still very fiddly and not very practical. So I thought to myself, why not write a tool that automates all of this? So I did! And this tool comes in the form of the Linkz Modding Central, a web page that is running on the same local server and enables me to analyze and experiment with the asset files in a more comfortable way. As you can see here, I have a nicely formatted, sorted and searchable index of all models in the game. I went through all the files and found out which model code referred to what species and put it in a list. Now the program is able to identify all the Digimon automatically without me having to look anything up. Right now, the only unidentified files are those for WarGreymon and Metalgarurumon X, since they have only been added yesterday and I haven't had a chance yet to update my identification table. Also, we can see that currently Agumon is replaced with Titamon and Hawkmon is replaced with Jesmon. The site runs on both JavaScript and PHP, and if I want to exchange a model, all I have to do is click on the model that I want, and then on the model I want to replace it with. And that's it. All the remaining copying and text replacing is automatically applied by my script. Unbinding is also a matter of a single click. Here on the right, we have access to the other resource lists of the game, such as attack effects and camera movements. I mentioned in the intro that WarGreymon and Metalgarurumon X are using other Digimon's effects and camera movements, and this was done by replacing models, cameras and effects separately. Normally, you want to have identical replacements for all three categories in order to get a consistent result. I am also able to replace other assets such as sound effects, background music, stages and farm objects. However, I haven't really experimented that much with anything that's not a Digimon model. So let's do another demonstration. I will replace 3 Digimon that I have, Tentomon, Terriermon and Gabumon, with 3 of the more interesting models that I found in Linkz, namely a special version of Volcanicromon, King Scammon and Millenniumon. I am not going to change the camera movements or death blow effects in any of these cases, because neither Volcanicromon, King Scammon or Millenniumon have those files yet. So here we are in the game again, and here are our models. You can see they are extremely unfinished. King Scammon does not have eyes, Millenniumon is comically undersized, and so is Volcanicromon when compared to his normal model. None of these models have any finished special attacks animation, they just kind of glitch out in fights, so I'm not going to show them in battle, but I have collected the battle animations of some of the more complete unobtainable Digimon, and I hope that they will make a fitting end to this video. Have fun!